everyone. Welcome back inside the UC Health Training Center for another episode of Broncos Now. Team reporter and host Sydney Jones here. And coming up on today's episode, head coach Nathaniel Hackett takes a look back at Sunday's win over the Arizona Cardinals. Plus, Broncos lead writer Eric DiLalla joins the show for a game recap. All that and more coming up. It's Victory Monday here at the UC Health Training Center. The Broncos now sit at 4-10 after defeating the Arizona Cardinals 24-15 this past Sunday at Empower Field at Mile High. The offense got off to a slow start but put up 21 unanswered points in the second half. Head coach Nathaniel Hackett spoke today on how the offense was able to adjust at halftime.
I think the guys have done a really good job. We've gone in with a plan, and whether it might not have been executed the right way or there were some adjustments that the defense made versus us, I think we were able to go into that second half and talk about it and maybe completely throw something out and do something completely new. I think referring just to this game, we wanted to really push the run game. I thought that was something that the guys did a great job on, and every week it's different. Every single time you go out there, it's different matchups. For us, it's been different players on offense also. As you're trying to figure those guys out, make sure you're putting them in the right spot. You might do it with a mindset of, hey, this is going to be good for this guy, but you don't know until you go out there. So that's our job, and that's the fun part about this game. And, you love scoring points at the second half. We just want to put it together for 4 quarters.
We saw the offense commit to the run game in the second half, finish the game with 168 rushing yards, and head coach Nathaniel Hackett talked today about how that was the key to their success versus the Cardinals.
I think that was something that as an offense, especially that second half, and I give so much credit to Justin Outen. He was forcing the run, Clint calling it, and Butch and all those guys making sure that we continually did it. And whenever you can get in a rhythm, we talk about rhythm a lot, and it's primarily in the pass game, but it also goes with the run game. To be able to call a run and get a 2-yard gain, sometimes that's good. You can come back to that same run or get to a different one once you see a different picture. And I thought that those guys all adjusted well. I thought Latavius got in a really good groove. There were some guys in the hole that we didn't get blocked, and he was the eraser. He made a guy miss and went for some yards. We were going outside, inside. There was just a lot of things that we mixed up in the run game that I thought made it efficient.
This Broncos defense has recorded 8 picks in the last 3 weeks. And as we know, head coach Nathaniel Hackett gives this defense credit week in and week out, and today was no different.
They've got a tenacity about them back there. It doesn't matter what's going on. Those guys go out there and they think they can get a pick at any time. Look at Pat Surtain. He's had 2, I think, in the past 2 games also. And, he's been in the right place, right time. Those guys are communicating. They're talking. They're understanding the different route concepts. I think Ujero, CP, Ola, all those guys have done a great job having those guys continue to develop and preparing them for what they're going to see. And then in the end, it's about those players going out there and executing. And those guys are playing at a very high level, and it starts with the rush. It goes with everybody. There were a couple times that the quarterback was under duress. He kind of threw it up there, but we still got to be in the right spot at the right time. And it's just a testament to everybody. The linebackers were last week. It was the DBs this week, so it was great to see.
Now joining me here inside the Broncos podcast studio is Broncos lead writer Aric DiLalla for a game recap. Eric, we finally get to talk about a win.
That's right.
It's about time. It's been a while.
Victory Monday at last.
I love it. Well, there is a lot to talk about today, Eric. I want to start with the offense. Got off to kind of a slow start. Really didn't see much in the first half, but came out in the second half, scored 21 unanswered points. What did you like about some of the adjustments they made at halftime?
Yeah, well, Nathaniel Hackett said in his post-game press conference he went in and challenged the group to run the football. Obviously, there were some protection issues there in the first half. Brett Rypien sacked 6 times in one half of football. It was not a method that was going to work for Denver. They weren't going to be able to score points by dropping back to pass every single play. So they committed to the run game in the second half. The offensive line did a great job. I think they ended up with 168 total rushing yards in the game, and 113 of those came after the break. So that shows you kind of the jump there that they made in the second half. And when you run the football, Sydney, especially late in games, sometimes it's about who wants it more and who's willing to be more physical and who's going to just kind of beat someone one-on-one. The Broncos did that in the second half. It took all 11 guys to make it happen, and they committed to it, and that's as good a rushing performance as we've seen all season from the Broncos.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, Eric, we've talked about that nearly all season, how important it is to get this run game going. Finally saw that on Sunday versus the Cardinals. And it was great to see Latavius Murray and Marlon Mack both get rushing touchdowns. I know Latavius, he had a career day with 130 rushing yards. What did you like about maybe just their chemistry and the way that they were able to build off each other's performances?
Yeah, I mean, Latavius was joking after the game that Marlon stole one of his touchdowns, so he was making sure he was going to come back and get one of his own. I mean, Latavius is that big, powerful back. He can run you over. Marlon's obviously got that speed. We saw him in the screen game last week against Kansas City show off that speed. So they complement each other well, and it's just a testament to both of those guys who came in here in the middle of the season, finding a way to make things work. But listen, this can be the identity of this football team moving forward. And obviously with Russell Wilson coming back this week, you're going to have the ability to throw the ball down the field more. You can take those deep shot opportunities. You can put up a few more points, I think. But to be able to know that you can run the football when you need to, that's what this entire offensive system is based off of. And so I think it's got to give the Broncos confidence to see that it worked this past weekend. They were better in the red zone, 3 of 3 down there. So it just got to keep it going now, but a really encouraging performance.
Yep, I agree. And it was nice to see Latavius Murray get the game ball. He said that was his first one in 10 years in this league.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Very nice.
Yeah, very nice for him. Eric, you mentioned we're going to get Russell back this week, so that'll be good to go this weekend. But what did you think overall of Brett Rypien's performance here?
Yeah, I mean, really efficient, obviously. 21 of 26, just 5 incompletions. He did throw an interception near the goal line, but he thought that the Cardinals had jumped offside, so he thought there was a free play, obviously a good learning experience for him. I thought he managed the game well, Sydney. Obviously, you want to avoid a few of those sacks. They mostly were not his fault when you go back and look at it. But he did what a backup quarterback is supposed to do, which is you don't need them to be spectacular, but you need that guy to go out there and make enough plays to win the game, not hurt your chances of winning the football game. And obviously, he did what he needed to do, manage the game well. And I was just happy for Brett because he's used to, anyone who comes into this league, especially as a backup quarterback, you've started for 4 years in high school, you've started for 4 years in college, and then you get to the NFL and you just don't get to play very much. And that's what these guys love to do is play football. And so for Brett, he started against the Jets. Before that, you go all the way back to the Jets in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's been a long time since he's won as a starter. You could tell it meant a lot to him. And I really enjoyed his story about prepping for the one touchdown pass he had. It's this play where you drop back, you hide the ball for a second. He said he was practicing in his hotel room on Saturday night just because he wanted to make sure that he could do it perfectly. He pulled it off. Nice to see him get a touchdown and a win.
Yeah, nice to see Eric Tomlinson get that touchdown too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Eric, looking at this defense, another dominant performance by them. 3 interceptions, 3 sacks. I want to talk about Justin Simmons. He had another 2-interception game. He's now had 5 interceptions in 3 straight seasons. What did you see from him on just those plays?
Yeah, the first one, kind of one of those, it comes right to you. I mean, you're playing the defense correctly, but Alex Singleton makes a big hit. The ball kind of pops up in the air, and Justin's in position to make a play. Broncos, unfortunately, do not get any points on that drive, but Justin really sealed the game later when he kind of undercut a route, takes it back into the red zone, I think inside the 10-yard line after the penalty. And that's when the Tomlinson touchdown happens, and the Broncos are able to extend this lead, make it a 2-score game. That's kind of what changed it from another one of these close games where you're wondering, hey, can the Broncos get it done, to a more comfortable lead where you're able to take a little bit of a breath. And Broncos came away with just their first 2-score win of the entire season. But, yeah, Justin's playing really well. Nice to see him bounce back, I think, from last week. And this defense as a whole now, Sydney, I think 8 interceptions over the last 3 games. So they've been ball hawks the last 3 weeks, and hopefully they can keep it going. Yeah,
and I know last week Pat Surtain said he was really itching for that first interception. Now he's got another one in back-to-back games, a game-sealing one for him. It was nice to see, too.
Yeah, Pat, he did a nice job on DeAndre Hopkins. 7 catches for 60 yards for D-Hop. Didn't wreck the game in any way. And obviously, they played with a backup quarterback and then went to a third-string quarterback in Trace McSorley. So it wasn't easy for their passing game. McSorley had just a 27.8 quarterback rating. But you got to take advantage when you face that type of quarterback, and the Broncos did. Nice to see Pat get another one on the board. We'll find out about Pro Bowl nominations here soon enough, Sydney, and Justin and Pat are definitely both deserving.
Yep, fingers crossed they get in. Eric, and I think another guy who's been just really consistent all season long and someone who's kind of flown a little bit under the radar is Deshaun Williams. And it was really nice to see him have such a good game yesterday, 2.5 sacks. He stepped up really big when, they were out without a key guy in Draymond Jones.
Yeah, absolutely. Deshaun's been really good, and he leads the Broncos in sacks. Even before he got to the 2.5 that he ended up with, when he got just that first one of the game, he leads the team in sacks since the trade deadline when Bradley Chubb was sent to the Dolphins, which is kind of wild to think about because, you would expect maybe an outside linebacker to step up or Draymond Jones, but it's been Deshaun Williams that's taken advantage of this opportunity. He did so again. Just kind of a relentless motor there, and he might not be the first guy to get toward the quarterback, but it seems like he's always there to clean it up, and he's always in the right spot and has been the beneficiary of that of late. And just for a guy, Sydney, that's gone through so much in his career, been cut so many times, was just so excited a couple of years ago to make the active roster or the initial 53 for the first time. You can tell how much this means to him, and so to see him have some of the success, it's great.
And I do think, a win overall, Eric, just shows that this team isn't giving up despite their record and where they're at in this season. So how important do you think it is for this team to really finish out strong and, head into this offseason just on a good note? Yeah,
I think you want to believe in the concept that, things are working, you're heading in the right direction. Be easy for the Broncos to give up. They were down 9-3.
Yeah.
Things weren't going well. And they stuck with it, scored touchdowns on 3 of the next 4 possessions. They were able to really put this game out of hand. It ended up being a convincing, decisive win for the Broncos, and they've just played with that effort you talked about all year long. Even though things have not gone their way, they've not been in the playoff hunt for weeks now, and still they're coming out there and playing hard. I would not expect that to change over the final 3 weeks, and nice to see the Broncos get rewarded with one win. Hopefully, there's more to follow.
Yep, I agree. Definitely some positive things to look forward to over the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
Eric, appreciate your time always and your insight.
Of course.
Well, that'll do it for today's episode of Broncos Now, Broncos Country. Thanks so much for tuning in today and every day. I hope you meet me right back here on the Broncos Podcast Network and YouTube tomorrow for another episode. I will see you all then.